What's up, everybody? Here's a review of a 2023 and 2024 Ford Escape ST Line Select. So all in all, jumping right off, as you can see, Ford did do a great job on the redesign. It's a lot sleeker, a lot sportier looking compared to what they used to look like. Now, on the contrary, they did shrink it down and make it a little bit smaller, which I will touch base on later in this video as well. But all in all, it's a great exterior look and a great interior look, which I'll go over here real soon. But I think they did a great job with it, especially with the LED lights on it, the running lights on the front and the back. They look absolutely amazing. Of course, it does have things like remote start, as well as you can pop that rear hatch from the key fob right here, just like that right there. Other thing you probably noticed, I do have my cargo area mat as well as weatherproof floor mats in there. Now these are not WeatherTech, but they're just as good as WeatherTech. Very thick, very durable, and they are rubber, so you can take them out and wash them down very easily. The rear seats do fold down flat. Of course, I've got both seats all the way back for more driver and passenger comfort in the front, but they do come down all the way flat to where you can store more things inside it. As I said, I do have seat covers as well in mine. These are leather seat covers. This car did come with cloth seats. I did get the leather seat covers just because I wanted to protect my seats, and that's what they look like. I tried to get them as close to what they look like stock. This is a little bit more red than what they look like stock, but not too bad. It actually fits the car pretty well. First things first, there is a lot on this gauge cluster here. It can be very overwhelming at first, but as you can see, there is lots of symbols and everything, and this is fully customizable. I mean, you could change it completely for what it says and what's on there, and you can actually make it where there is nothing on there at all. I'm not just talking about that center screen there that's changing. Now, this car does have a feature like auto hold, where it'll actually allow you to put it in drive and let off the brake, and it'll just sit there and hold itself. The thing that does drive me crazy is this shift knob here, just like this. You do have to step on the brake, and you have to spin this over to drive or whichever gear you choose to put it in. That does drive me crazy, but that is pretty common in most vehicles now, especially most new Ford vehicles. Now, I do honestly wish this car had paddle shifters over here, like there was a manual mode that you could paddle shift it, especially with it being the ST. That would probably be pretty fun. The thing that does drive me crazy, there's a few things actually. You do have to push the auto start stop, but thankfully this car has that. But you do also have to push your mode button. You can change this button right here, and it changes the drive modes and how the car handles. You have to push this button and select which one you want every time you get in the car and start it. Not the hugest deal, but it does become annoying if you like to change the drive mode. I personally put my car in eco mode every time because I have a heavy foot. Now, we'll go over these drive modes later in this video. As you can see, I do still have the standard screen protector that comes from the factory on it. That'll get ripped off. I do have some screen protectors that I'm going to put on later today, actually, to help keep that protected, because I like to have my stuff clean. But addressing the one thing that drives me crazy with this car, being that it has the technology package, you obviously gain this larger screen, as well as you have wireless charging down there and a few other extras. But with this larger screen, that means all of your AC controls are all right here. So you have to push one of these buttons to turn the fan up, turn it down, turn the heat up, turn it down, heated seats, heated steering wheel. It's cool, right? But it kind of sucks when you're driving and you're trying to push a button and you hit bumps in the road and your fingers going all over and you accidentally turn the heated steering wheel on and it's hot in summertime, and next thing you know, your hands are burning on the steering wheel. Something just like this one here. This has the physical buttons for the AC down here. However, you do get the much smaller screen on it just like that. Of course, you lose a few other features with a trim like this. You lose your heated seats. Of course, wireless charging as well, and you lose your B&O sound system. In my honest opinion, the smaller screen, after coming from the bigger screen, the smaller screen just looks a little bit more basic to me. It is nice to just quickly be able to push a button while you're driving with no lag, no hesitation, and less accidentally pushing the wrong button. To lose a few other features, one thing, the remote start's no longer down here, it's actually hidden back up here. So it can be a little bit of a pain when you're first getting in, or at least to get used to, because you have to reach up here to start it. You will also lose your 360-degree camera, as well as your drive mode button's no longer here or on the screen, it's down here. Thing is, though, this is the ST, it is quite sportier, so you get the flat steering wheel, which is very nice, with red stitching. You do also get race-inspired pedals down there that look really good. I do wish this car came with a manual and had clutch in it. That would be nice. Of course, the seats that you have are a little bit different. Now, the back seats aren't as red stitch as the front. Now, these are not stock. These are leather seat covers, but they do typically look very similar to this underneath. So this one being the Select, there is a few things that it did not come with. For example, it didn't come with a sunroof, which I personally didn't want. It also didn't come up with a heads-up display, which also I didn't care about, because you actually can buy those on Amazon for most cars. First impressions, this car is pretty comfortable, pretty easy to drive too. This would be a great car for just about anyone in any driving range. It'd be a great beginner car, or it could be a great experienced driver car. Now in sport mode, it will make the throttle more responsive, as well as it opens up the throttle body much quicker. I'll slow down a little bit here and I'll step on it and show you. A lot of people think it adds power. It really doesn't add any extra power. It just makes everything more responsive. So here is, I'll put it in eco mode. Here is full throttle in eco mode. Not very exciting, but it eventually will get up to speed. Now here's sport mode. Now immediately the RPMs get up higher, which this is a turbo car, so that's nice. Makes it keeps you within the boost range. But you go full throttle on that, and there you go. It's kind of impressive what it can actually do. It does also have a normal mode as well as a slippery mode. So in normal mode, it's going to drive like a normal car. And in slippery mode, this car is always all-wheel drive, but in slippery mode, it's going to send power to the wheels that are getting the most traction, as well as it's going to limit the throttle responsiveness, that way you don't accidentally spin your tires. Now, this being an Escape, it is a little bit smaller than what the older Escapes used to be, or the previous generation Escapes. In fact, the previous generation Escapes is about the size of the modern generation Ford Edges now. They've kind of shrunk this car down, sleeked it down, gave it a sportier look. Go past this guy right here. It's in sport mode, of course. And now here comes some really hard curves. So you're going to see it does have a sportier feel to it, but there is one downside. So here comes the curve. We're going about 60 right now. All right, let's hold that pretty good. Hit the apex there. Step on the throttle. Oh yeah. So I have a few complaints, but I'll go over that here. Let's have some fun. Hold the steering wheel steady, two hands. Oh yeah. So this is actually one of my favorite roads that I drive on every day. This is actually the way I have to take to work. Let's hit it again, hit it pretty hard. So one of the complaints I actually have with this car is the fact that it doesn't really hold turns as hard as I really want to. It's a sportier car, you would think that it would hold it, but it's still a bigger SUV. So it has a lot of body roll to it. As well as these tires are meant for just all-season, all-purpose tires. They're not quite full sporty tires. They are sportier than what some cars come with, but not as sporty as I think they should be. Now here's a couple more hard S-curves right here. This one's a really hard one. We're going to push the car a little bit. Going deep, brake, and hit the apex, stomp on the throttle. And when you push it like that, you really can feel it start to slide. And if it doesn't slide and it truly does grip, you're more than likely going to flip the car, because there is a pretty good rollover rate as I pass a cop. That is something I'm going to go over in a later video, but something I really do want to do to this car is actually put it on a stiffer spring, maybe even lower it down just a little bit, kind of build like a modern day rally car out of it, but not like full send rally car where I'm doing a roll cage or anything. But then again, who knows, maybe I will do that. I think Ford has done a great job with this. They've completely redesigned the car. It looks a lot sportier. It doesn't quite look like a mom mobile or a family car that they used to. They did a really good job with them. Now I'm going to show you what the adaptive cruise control, as well as cruise control itself, and the lane keep assist will do. It's actually pretty impressive. So I've got it set to follow people as close as can be, and we're going to raise the speed limit down there. I don't know how well that actually shows up right there. I'm going to raise it up to go about 4 to 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. Okay, now I am completely letting go of the brake and the steering wheel and everything, and it is going to continue to drive 4 to 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, just like that right there as I pass a cop. That was kind of funny. I'm not touching the brake, I'm not touching the gas. It will start to yell at you just like that right there and tell me to hold the steering wheel. So you just give it a little love tap on the steering wheel and that goes away. If a car actually pulls out in front of you, it will automatically start braking. Now it's funny, you see the speed limit goes up right there, 55. It will actually raise the speed limit to 5 miles an hour above that. So as you saw right there, it just moved it up to 66 or 61, excuse me. Now I'm going to try my best to record this part. It will actually take curves. There is a curve coming up. Here comes a really hard curve. The car is automatically slowing itself down for the curve as you see the speed limit dropping. And I'm not holding the steering wheel again at all. And there it goes, slows down appropriately for the curve and actually is turning the steering wheel. Of course, I see a big ass truck, so that makes me nervous. But it really does make me nervous what it can do. Now, one thing about that cruise control and the lane keep assist, it is mainly used for on highway driving, like freeways and everything like that. Not quite these back roads like I'm using it for. As you saw, it did start yelling at me, but it does work, and it's pretty scary how well it actually does work. As you guys saw, that lane keep assist is mainly used for and intended for on highways and freeway driving. It's not quite meant for these back roads like I'm on currently right now, but it does work, and it's really scary how well it actually does work, even on these back roads. One other complaint I do have with this car is actually the plastics. It's a Ford thing. This is a Ford model. It's actually the plastics that Ford decided to use in all these cars. There's a lot of them in it, which kind of gives it that more cheaper vehicle feel. No, that's a main Ford thing there. All these plastics that they use, like on the dash and everything, over on the doors and everything like that, does kind of give a little bit of rattling around and kind of give the car a cheaper feeling. Now, I didn't buy this car expecting it to be wrapped in Alcantara or feel like it was a Bugatti or a Lamborghini or anything like that. But that's a big Ford thing. Some people don't like that. The thing I do love about this car is it does display the speed limit on. I honestly feel like every car should do that at this point. All right, now that I have it in sport mode, we're gonna pass this little roadkill right there. We're gonna come to a stop and we're gonna launch it. So we're gonna see what it feels like to launch in sport mode. Go ahead and brake boost it in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. it gets up to speed pretty good. Now, it's not quite like a sports car, or you're gonna smoke your tires and, you know, go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But I will say it is pretty impressive for a utility SUV. Even doing like a 20-mile-an-hour roll like right now and then stomping on it is pretty impressive. Now, it doesn't have a terrible sound stock. It actually sounds somewhat decent, even stock. I've ever heard what this car sounds like straight piped with a bigger blow-off valve on it. It actually sounds like a rally car. And again, that's something I'll touch in a later video, but that's something I'm really thinking about doing to this. When you drive like that, your gas mileage does drop. You can see my average is 28.2, and that is combined. That is with sitting idle a lot too. I do start my car and let it warm up a little bit, as well as I sit in it with the AC on my lunch break, so that does constantly go down. In terms of gas mileage, I've actually gotten as good as 31.5 combined out of this. That's with babying on it, leaving it out of sport mode, of course, putting in eco the whole time, and that is with more highway driving than city. I do kind of combined highway and city driving on my daily average, so that's what brought it down. I'm averaging about 28.5 miles to the gallon, between 28.5 to 29 miles to the gallon combined, and that's with sitting idle in it quite a good bit and a little bit more aggressive driving, but not quite like what we were just doing. Of course, if you're gonna aggressive drive like that, it's miles per gallon at that point. So all in all, would I recommend this car to someone? The answer is absolutely yes. This car is a very great practical car, still on the sportier side. Be a great daily driver. Like I said earlier in the beginning, it's a great car for just about anybody. It'd be a great beginner car, but it could be a primary car for some of us sports car guys that just need a more reliable, practical daily driver. Honestly, I absolutely love this car. It's been very, very good. Sure, it has its flaws and it has its setbacks, but the pros definitely outweigh its couple of cons.